A $4,699 AI box can pay back in 5 months or never. The difference is not a magic model or the sticker price alone. It is the shape of your workload, volume, cache hits, latency, privacy, quality, and how often the hardware sits idle. Today, we will build the break-even equation, then test 3 reproducible workloads. And one result will look fantastic until we add the cost most local AI calculators quietly ignore. This episode is not another model price ranking. Our previous cost deep dive compared rented models and token prices, while this one asks whether owning fixed compute beats renting elastic capacity. Every conclusion needs 2 gates. The local model must pass the same quality threshold, and the machine must sustain required throughput. If either gate fails, cheap local tokens only produce rejected work or an expanding queue. So our real unit is not tokens generated. It is accepted work completed. Start with the API side, because that bill is more complicated than input tokens times 1 price. Fresh input, cached input, output, storage, tools, and priority service can each have different rates. The monthly equation is fresh input times its price, plus cache reads, plus output, plus every feature-specific extra. Batch can cut prices when waiting is acceptable, while caching makes repeated context cheaper. That elasticity is the API's hidden asset. Quiet months cost little, and spikes require no new machine. Here is our official price snapshot, accessed July 16, 2026. GPT 5.5 lists $5 per million input tokens, 50 cents for cached input, and $30 for output. Gemini 3.5 Flash lists $1.50 for input, 15 cents for cache reads, and $9 for output, including thinking tokens. OpenAI batch discounts token rates by 50% with a completion window of up to 24 hours. Gemini batch lists 75 cents for input and $4.50 for output, while cache storage can add a separate hourly charge. These offers are not quality equivalent, and providers count tokens differently. They are price boundaries for sensitivity analysis, not proof of substitutability. Now move to the own compute side. NVIDIA's current DGX Spark list price is $4,699 after a February price increase with no hardware change. It has 128 gigabytes of unified memory and 273 gigabytes per second of bandwidth. NVIDIA says it supports models up to 200 billion parameters, but fitting is not proof of speed or quality. Its compliance table reports 233.2 watts at maximum power and 38 watts idle, under a specified laboratory method. Those are reproducible boundaries, not a measurement of our exact inference workload. We amortize over 36 months, assume zero resale, and use the EIA's April residential average of 18.83 cents per kilowatt hour. The monthly local equation is amortized hardware, plus active and idle electricity, plus setup and maintenance labor, plus every optional overhead. We price labor at $75 an hour because troubleshooting, monitoring, and fail jobs are not free. We leave taxes, financing, cooling, networking, storage, support, and replacement unpriced for you to add. Hardware amortization alone is $130.53 per month. But for purchase payback, do not include amortization in the denominator because the purchase price is already in the numerator. Payback months equals purchase price divided by API monthly cost minus local monthly running cost. If that denominator is 0 or negative, the correct answer is never. Scenario 1 is a private knowledge assistant with 30 million input tokens and 3 million output tokens per month. Assume 70% of input is served from cache, 60 active hardware hours, and 1 maintenance hour. That leaves 9 million fresh input tokens and 21 million cache tokens. Gemini 3.5 Flash costs $43.65 per month under this workload. GPT 5.5 costs $145.50. The local machine uses about $7.36 of electricity at our maximum and idle boundary. Amortization plus energy is $137.89, and 1 labor hour lifts local TCO to $212.89. Against Gemini, the hardware never pays back under these assumptions. Against GPT 5.5, payback is about 34 months without labor, but roughly 74 months after that 1 maintenance hour. Low utilization is brutal because APIs stop charging while the own machine keeps aging. Scenario 2 is a nightly document extraction pipeline with 1 billion uncached input tokens and 50 million output tokens per month. The work is batch eligible. The machine runs continuously, and operations consume 4 hours each month. Gemini batch costs $975, while GPT 5.5 batch costs $3,250. The local energy boundary is $31.62, making amortization plus energy $162.14. Add 4 labor hours, and local monthly TCO becomes $462.14. Payback is about 7.3 months against Gemini, or 1.6 against GPT 5.5. That sounds decisive, but it is only a calculation until quality and capacity pass. 1 billion input tokens over a 30-day month requires an average of about 386 input tokens per second, plus 19 output tokens per second. NVIDIA reports 1,725 prompt tokens per second and 55.37 decode tokens per second for GPT-OSS 120B on DGX Spark. That test used a 2,048 token prompt, 128 token output, and batch size 1. Capacity may pass, but only your model, context, quantization, runtime, concurrency, and end-to-end trial can prove it. Scenario 3 is an 8-hour-per-day coding agent team with 500 million input tokens and 20 million output tokens per month. Assume 85% cache hits, 240 active hours, and 2 maintenance hours. Gemini costs $356.25, while GPT 5.5 costs $1,187.50. Local amortization plus energy is $144.50, and all-in TCO is $294.50. Including operations labor, payback is about 24 months versus Gemini, or 4.6 months versus GPT 5.5. The same hardware and workload therefore produce radically different answers depending on the acceptable API alternative. And this active window needs roughly 579 input tokens per second and 23 output tokens per second. So concurrency still matters. Now apply the quality gate that every raw token chart misses. Run a representative evaluation set through the local candidate and the API candidate. Then score accepted outputs, retries, human correction time, and task failures. Quantization may let a larger model fit and run faster, but can also move quality, so record the exact weights and runtime. If local output needs more review, put that labor in the equation. The winning metric is total cost per accepted task at the required latency. Privacy also needs a precise comparison, not the slogan that cloud means public and local means private. OpenAI says API data is not used for training by default, though abuse monitoring logs may remain for up to 30 days. Google says paid Gemini API content is not used to improve its products, while limited abuse monitoring retention can still apply. Local inference can keep raw prompts inside your boundary, but only if telemetry, remote tools, backups, logs, and administrator access are controlled. For regulated, offline, or data residency workloads, that constraint may justify local compute even when its token math is worse. For bursty demand, frontier model access, managed reliability, or sudden growth, the API's elasticity can be worth more than a lower theoretical unit cost. Owned hardware has fixed capacity, queuing risk, upgrade work, and a replacement cycle. APIs have variable prices, quotas, feature-specific retention, and provider dependency. Neither side is free of operational risk. The risks simply land in different places. So use 4 gates before you buy. First, prove that a local model reaches your acceptance threshold on real tasks. Second, benchmark throughput, first token latency, concurrency, context length, and wall power on your actual stack. Third, measure at least a month of fresh input, cache hits, output, batch eligibility, and hourly demand. Fourth, price the constraints that are not tokens: privacy, offline operation, reliability, engineering time, and migration risk. Then rerun the sheet with current prices, because a cheaper API or a hardware price change can move break even overnight. For the private assistant, the API wins. For stable high-volume batch work, local can win quickly. And for the coding team, the answer depends heavily on the acceptable model tier. That is the deeper rule. Buy compute for a proven, steady constraint, not for an imagined future workload. Measure accepted work, test the denominator, and let the break-even math decide. This is AI Field Notes, and that is the number to know before you buy the box.